we do have our community here, and the teachings of the Buddha are still available in a very pure way in this world that is, very busy and distracted with many other projects, but that we're taking this hour this morning. Maybe you can begin to record. Janet's going to record. So if anyone doesn't want to be on that, just, okay. So our refuge, of course, means safety and protection. And our ultimate refuge really is in the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That's our refuge protection for our mind, for our peace of mind. And yes, we need shelter, of course, for our physical being, but more importantly, when we have a feeling of peace of mind internally, then we can feel safe wherever we find ourselves. So let's just take a moment. Let's take maybe 5 minutes just to call our intention together for this practice. What do we want from our main moment, this first day of spring, this new day of warming and softening that we want to bring to our practice? So just be comfortable. We'll just take 5 minutes. Maybe call the teachers that guide you to mind, Kensho Rinpoche, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whomever else you feel very close to, or even just Shakyamuni Buddha, Aryatara, all the wisdom beings that can help us make the most out of every day of our practice. Just put a little attention to your physical body and allow everything to relax. Check your head and your neck and your face. Just let all the muscles relax and the shoulders kind of melting down, softening. Use the breath as a gentle internal massage. As you breathe in, feel how the body expands. And as you breathe out, feel how it lets go of any tension and just relaxes and feels completely safe and held in this moment, fully trusting the natural goodness, the natural awake nature of our true essence, our Buddha nature. Put extra attention now to your heart center in the middle of your chest, a little bit up from the middle. And just feel a soft, warm energy glowing your heart center full of bodhicitta, the compassionate, loving kindness of your own essence. And just give that to yourself right now. Feel compassion and loving, being a good person, being a productive and happy person in this world who's wishing and intending only goodness, walking the path of Buddhahood day by day, step by step, inviting our mind to open and enlighten for our own benefit and the benefit of all beings. Let the breath be gentle and light, and let the physical body just expand and open from the heart center. Now let's bring ourselves out of this meditation, but with a feeling of very light-hearted presence, a very curious presence about how our practice can be benefited by taking this time together and not worrying about anything, feeling that everything is just as it should be. Everything that we are is already awakened, and we're just going to discover that nature together. So we'll say refuge together. If you have your Tashi Gatsel Ling prayer book, we're on page 1 for refuge and bodhicitta. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until enlightened, I seek refuge. Through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all, may I become Buddha. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until enlightened, I seek refuge. Through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all, may I become Buddha. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, until enlightened, I seek refuge. Through merit from giving and the rest, to aid all, may I become Buddha. And we'll say the 4 immeasurables. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. So these 4 immeasurable qualities are exactly where we want to start our main moment meditation today when we are thinking about the benefits of our practice. We really want to think about why these are called immeasurable qualities. First of all, because sentient beings are immeasurable. The number of beings that are living, when the Buddha went into his deep meditation on this, when he was on Vulture Mountain doing when we get the Heart Sutra, the Prajnaparamita, he was meditating on the countless aspects of phenomena, meaning phenomena are going to continue to appear in countless ways. I mean, just look in the room that you're sitting in right now. Just look at all the phenomena around you. Think how many myriads of beings created that. From the people who painted your walls in your house, or who created the paint that's on the walls in the house, people who made the windows, people who milled and got the wood. I mean, countless aspects of mother beings. The Buddha meditated on this and said, everything we enjoy comes from the benefit of other beings. Whether we know them or not doesn't matter. The point is, everything that makes our life precious was really provided for us by others. Yes, we maybe held a job and we were able to save resources and we can pay bills, and that's true. And that in that way, we're also giving to others. We go to the grocery store, we buy things, we buy clothing. We're giving back to all mother beings through also providing for what they need. But what we need to understand is these immeasurables mean that the countless aspects of how many living creatures there are, we could never count them, so they're immeasurable. Likewise, the benefits of these qualities could never be measured. The benefits of happiness in Buddhism, that's loving kindness. You could never put a limit on loving kindness. You could never say, oh, love can be expressed only to that degree and no further. It's not true. Love is universal and it has no boundaries. So loving kindness, the wish for happiness and its causes, that can go on without end. It's immeasurable. The same with the second immeasurable, the freedom from suffering. This is the definition in Buddhism for compassion. We could never have enough compassion. You could never limit compassion. Compassion goes immeasurably to all creatures, and especially to the ones who create the most harm, because they're suffering the most from the three poisons, from the ignorance, selfish attachment, and from hatred or aversion. So compassion goes out endlessly. The third immeasurable is this wish for empathetic joy, for feeling that because Janet's happy or Carla is happy or Doreen or Cole is happy, Gatsel will get happy, that I can just rejoice in your happiness. So, like if you live with people or when you're around your family, if people are in a good mood, then everyone tends to kind of get feeling a little bit happier. If I'm here at the nunnery and I'm doing something up in my room and I hear the nuns like cleaning the septic system as they were today and giggling and laughing, and you can smell, believe me, because it's the whole septic for the whole nunnery, and all the manhole covers are out or the nun hole covers are out, and they're all down in there getting the sludge out and they're laughing and full of joy, and you smell the smell and they're just going right through it. You can't help but feel happy. I mean, it's a positive kind of emotional contagion. So we want to spread these positive, immeasurable qualities. This is what's meant by empathetic joy, this idea of sorrowless bliss, never being separated from the root of that deep, deep, essential, blissful freedom that is part of our Buddha nature. As soon as we start to lose that feeling, we should stop, take a breath, and try to connect with it again. And while we can benefit by getting it from others, we ourselves have it inside. We don't need others. We have that bliss, and we have a deep source of a taproot to be able to come back into it. And that taproot is just called awareness. We just need to bring our awareness back to it. Hey, I'm not feeling blissful. Why not? Oh, I forgot. That's all we have to do. And our bliss is different for each one of us. That's okay. Whatever brings us back into that memory of our bliss, it could be our grandchildren, it could be our building project, it could be taking a next breath saying, wow, I'm alive. I don't want to forget that I'm valuing just being alive. It could be making progress on our spiritual path and feeling like we gained an insight or had a little realization. We could remind ourselves of like how far we've come from, a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. We could say, wow, my mind is really improving, and I'm going to take the next breath to just feel blissful about that and feel like, yeah, I've actually put some time in, and it's bringing some fruition. It's bringing some transformation. There's bliss in that. But we have to remember, if we want to follow our bliss, as Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss, you have to remember it before you can follow it. If you lose track of your bliss, what's guiding you, right? So we can use our breath. Jetsima said one of her teachers, one of her first yogi meditation teachers, the Tukdens, who are very highly realized yogis, gave her a practice saying, 3 times during the hour, check the state of your mind. 3 times every hour, just try to stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, is my mind with me? Can I bring my mind back? What's the state of my mind? Is my mind remembering joy? Is it remembering gratitude? Can I bring my mind back to this kind of bliss? If 3 times an hour feels difficult at the beginning, try at least 3 times a day. you have to make it practical for you. You know, living at the nunnery, because we're on this is like our full-time job. So like we have conversations with each other. Yesterday with the librarian, I had a great moment of like not really losing my cool, but just some kind of little speed bump came. And you know, she just said, "Oh, what just happened? Can you explain how you just dealt with that?" And so I talked about like what I just did with my practice. Then she said, and I said, "Do you have a tip that you use for your practice?" So we're just having conversations like that. What works for you? She said, "One thing I try to do before I go to sleep and when I wake up in the morning is I say, please to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, remove the 3 poisons from my mind stream," which is a wonderful little prayer. Please, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, remove the 3 poisons from my mind stream, meaning you're free of ignorance, free of lust or selfish desire, and free of hatred and aversion. I just tried it today and I've already felt like it's transformative. So we can use small but very intentional prayers. We don't have to make elaborate practice. If we miss our meditation sometime throughout the day, we can just keep coming back to these small, mindful, intentional moments. Because if we start building our days on those small, intentional, mindful moments, guess what? The whole day will become our practice. And that's really what we want. We want our practice to be with us practically throughout the whole day. We don't want to feel like it's just when we sit together meeting online or when we sit on our cushion for 30 minutes in the morning before we go off to our day. Those are important things to do for sure. But we want to use every aspect of our day to bring our Dharma, like daily Dharma and practical meditation, because our life really is our practice. Our life really is our practice. And we're using that well because we're still here. We're still growing in the Dharma. And, you know, not everybody has a practice. That's why the 4th immeasurable, may we live with equanimity, meaning we will give the benefits of our practice to everyone. It won't matter their political ideals. It won't matter what's coming out of their mouth. It won't matter if they look at us sideways with a funny look on their face. We'll still offer them loving kindness, compassion, and sorrowless bliss because everybody wants those things. There's not anybody who doesn't want them, and there's not anybody who doesn't deserve them. They might be so trapped under their own ignorance, under their own selfishness, under their own confusion and anger and hatred that they don't know how to get at wanting that bliss, that joy, that loving kindness, and that compassion. But if you give it to others, there's no one who won't benefit from it. It's not that everyone's going to say, "Oh, thank you, what a kind person." That's like an ego concern. We don't need any feedback. We just give it because it feels good to give, because it helps our practice. You understand? So others are there for us to really benefit from. It doesn't mean they're going to be grateful to us or that they have to thank us for anything. And quite to the contrary, sometimes the most difficult ones are the best opportunity to practice with. But we still give it equally to everyone because that's what transforms our mind into this kind of total Buddha nature where nothing makes us afraid, nothing shakes us from our own inner awareness. Nothing takes, because nothing outside of us can take our peace of mind. Once our mind training is really set, nothing, no external circumstance, no political outcome, no economic outcome, nothing shakes us from our pure awareness and our pure confidence in our practice. Really, the Buddha taught that. He said, once you kind of get to your full capacity, your full potential, you won't backslide. So how wonderful that is, right? Who wouldn't want that? Because things always on the outside will change. Our bodies will change. Everything that comes together on the material world will change because it's in its nature to change. But our mind, once we clarify it, once we enlighten, once we come further enough on the path that we attain awakening, that's it. That will be your state of awareness for as long as your practice is going. That's Buddhahood. And you stay in that peace of mind, life in and life out, because we believe in beginningless and endless life. So it will only be like your best tool. That's the thing that will go on into other existences, is your consciousness. So that's the reason that we practice, is it will help us and benefit this life, but it's also going out into the future. So if you think about your life, as I said, like a year ago or 5 years ago or a few decades ago, think about how you are now, or think about from when you met the Dharma to now having the Dharma. Has it benefited? Has it helped you? Has the Dharma been something that's improved your peace of mind? What do you think? You can unmute and share. This is the moment for sharing.
Well, I've been in some situations when I was working where I was working for a very difficult supervisor, and and at times, what enabled me to work well with them was to realize that your enemy is your best friend, in terms of here's a person that is really going to help me practice loving compassion under the most difficult circumstances. And that got me through a lot of situations where other people just quit and left. And I stayed and was able to work through that.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. And that's a great example, Cole. Thank you. And also the patience to stay with it. If we have to develop patience to perfection, then we need those difficult ones, because we don't need patience for those around us who are usually pretty congenial and easygoing. We really need those moments so that we see my love really is inclusive. It really is universal. And in another session last week, someone said something about forgiveness, and it's not really about forgiveness. It's not that way like in Christianity. In Buddhism, it's much more about wisdom and compassion. It's understanding that people have different challenges themselves, and we're not there to judge them, because forgiveness kind of implies judgment. But using wisdom and compassion, we can stick with them. We don't give up on it, because the situation can transform. And I bet it did transform for you over some time. And we're not there to like try to improve anybody either. It's not about saving them or changing them, but that, as Cole wisely said, that he could see that he could actually work with that, and that it actually helped him grow, which is why we say the Buddha's sentient beings are equal to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. In some ways, they're even more precious, because Buddhas and Bodhisattvas cannot come and open our minds and put their wisdom in. It's the other beings in this world that we're part of that give us the opportunity to truly grow in the Dharma, to truly make our mind transform into its own Buddha qualities. Thank you. Wonderful. Anybody else? Carla, did you want to share something?
I would like to share that I've actually used my phone, where every hour I have a little metta charm go off, and with my children, we take a sip of water and we do a little mantra. We either do Chenren Sig or wisdom, Manjushri, or we just sometimes do a little Tonglen. We just say, I'm breathing in peace, loving kindness for myself, and breathing out peace, love, and kindness for others. And we just do it 3 times. And it's just like a little pause in our day. And I have found, just in the past week and a half of just doing that, I feel like we are all a little calmer. And we also, the kids are actually excited to go do it. So it's been just kind of a nice little practice. And we do it from like 9 to 5 and just through the week during our school day. And so it's been really just really nice. And this is a great tool for helping with that.
Wonderful that is. That's right. And so, yes. And so people who need a little reminder, you can always set that little kind of reminder to just go off and then pause and do that. But I think that's fantastic because your children are benefiting, you're getting peace of mind and they look forward to it. And because you're helping them learn this now, it will be something they can carry with them their whole lives. You see, that's why we don't really even need to be Buddhist to do these things, but it's helpful to use practices from Buddhism. We can use these techniques, and if we are following the Buddhist path, which we all are who are joined here, then it helps our practice expand and grow because we're sharing it with others. And that definitely makes the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas very happy, I'm sure. Thank you. Anybody else want to share anything? Janet or Doreen? No? Okay.
Well, I have been, I have been going through a very difficult time with a lot of anxiety and whatever, but even so, we meditate every morning, and I am getting therapy, and I'm seeing a Jungian therapist, and actually I signed up for your, and she signed up, and she also signed up for your talk for Saturday. She's really wonderful, Teresa Arundel. So I really like her. So anyway, but I'm dealing with that, and so I don't know. And Janet has been very helpful, and she's been very loving and compassionate, and Cole has, and so anyway, so I'm hanging in there, and so and I'm doing Tonglen, and I find that really helpful, and I actually find that the anxiety is lessening. So.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for sharing, Doreen. And of course, we're sorry to hear that, but it's
Well, I think
sometimes
it's
in our
good.
I think sometimes in our practice things just come up and they just have to release. And once they're seen and once they're healed, they won't come back again. Another good person for anxiety who's very clear about it is Mingyur Rinpoche. I'll send you some links.
Okay.
You have to watch some of his talks because he's a Rinpoche, but he struggled for years with his anxiety. He's over it now, but he talks very openly about it.
I've seen some, I do. I like him a lot. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So there are a couple of things that I have that I'll share with you. Maybe you've seen them or not, but it's so good to be able to, naming the challenge is half the battle.
I know.
And allowing it to just, and like getting compassion by just sharing that with us as you just did.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
As I said here at the nunnery, because we're living with 100+ yoginis, the nuns are even the young ones are already so far in the way their minds are, you really can't hide anything from anyone. And so you just are seen in ways that you have to be okay with. And for me, it's very humbling because in the West, we're not really encouraged to do that.
No,
At least the way I think our generations were brought up was more like you had to just, my mother would I call it the game face, put on the game face and kind of go out. There was like a mask that once you left the house, that mask was on. Right. Or I remember the telephone voice. My mother could be in the middle of an Italian tongue lashing with us. Da, 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 and then the phone would ring and it would be like, oh, hello. And I was like, now what is that about? Who is that? That's just not right. That is just not right.
Yeah, I know.
We have to transform these imprints that came. For whatever reason, we had a karmic connection with that. And we can see, that's not right. It's not a healthy behavior. So that's why we use our meditation, we Tonglen, exchanging, giving and taking. We can use the mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum, as we'll do.
I've done that too. Yeah. It's very helpful. And so, and I think good will come out of it. It already is. I can see that.
Oh, sure.
But sometimes you have to. I would rather go through this now than in my next life.
That's right. Do the work while you have the chance now. That's right. In the next life, it will be less work to do.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
Absolutely. And more good to do for others. But that's the whole idea, is once we can purify and clarify the work that is really our work to kind of finish off, then there's only goodness to come. And then then there are beings like His Holiness the Dalai Lama or Jetsun Mala or Kensor Rinpoche. They're living human beings that show us the benefits, that show us the potential of transformation, of really using the Dharma. And so there are points where we just have to go through You know,
Yeah.
the only way out is through.
Yeah.
And so wonderful that you're able to be courageous enough. And there's never an age where you say, oh, I'm too old to do this in this life. No,
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 you have
no.
the breath. So wonderful, great attitude, great attitude. So Janet, if you can put up on the screen now, we're going to look at this handout, this little mailer that I sent out that I think people received, but Janet's got it saved. We're going to just look at the Comptrol Rinpoche. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
So you want to read it on that? Or?
Yeah, that's perfect. So what I wanted people to think about from this is where this is highlighted. So 2,600 years ago, Mahamudra means, Maha means great and Mudra means seal. So it's the great seal. It means the great seal of recognizing your true nature, your true Buddha nature, the mind that's pure, clear, and aware. So 2,600 years ago, the spiritual seeker carried a burning question in his heart, prepared to walk for hundreds of miles to ask a holy man who could possibly give him an answer. Day and night, he walked yearning for an answer that would satisfy his thirst for the truth. Now, I have to say selfishly, I picked this story because since I was a girl, I had this question in my mind when I was meditating at about the age of 10. I was always asking myself, what is truth? Who is listening? What is going on here? I really just, this awareness that was moving through me, I wanted to know, like, what was it? And so this idea of truth was very compelling. And I read, you know, Socrates and Plato, and then I found out about Gandhiji. And of course, being partly raised as Christian, there's a lot about truth in the Bible, but nothing was really capturing it for me. So when I read about truth in Buddhism, something really resonated. It was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. This is talking about the nature of my own mind, my own awareness, the consciousness that knows, that is recognizing that everything moving through it is its own creation. And therefore it has to take responsibility just for that aspect of keeping it clean, clear, pure, and light. So this seeker spoke to my own heart because I feel like I've been a seeker in many lives and continue to be in this life. So still hot from wandering through the heat of northern India, the wanderer Bihya of the bark garment, which I also had a great fantasy. What did that guy look like if he's just wearing the bark of a tree as his clothing? That's what that means. The wanderer wearing the bark garment gives a good imagination, right? We probably saw a few people in Maine like that at some point. Anyway, upon the object of his long sought desire, the peaceful figure with the shaved head and yellow robes was walking serenely, holding his begging bowl. It was Shakyamuni Buddha, going about his daily alms round, begging for food. Straightway, Bahia rushed toward him and almost rudely interrupted and was turned away twice. When he requested the teaching for the third time, the Buddha gazed at him with his famous elephant look and communicated his total enlightened presence. He then uttered the following words. Then, Bahia, you must train yourself. In the seen, there will be just the seen. In the heard, just the heard. In the imagined, just the imagined. In the cognized, just the cognized. As you, Bahia, will have no therein, it follows that you will have no here or beyond or midway between. That is the end of ill. Bahia understood the essential meaning of these words, and by not clinging, thenceforth released his mind from the cankers, gaining realization instantly. Bahia, due to having previously followed a spiritual path and being spiritually receptive, was ready to be introduced to the nature of mind and simply to leave experience as it is, based on the Bahia Sutta. Hence, loosen up and resolve on the continuous flow of non-conceptuality, the self-knowing, aware mind that is free from dualistically clinging to an object of meditation. from the third Kamtrul Rinpoche, the Royal Seal of Mahamudra, Volume 2. So Kamtrul Rinpoche is Jetsunmala's root lama. He's the important one in the Drukpa Kagyu lineage, or one of the important ones. There are a few others, but that's who she's been connected with. Her ordination master was the 8th Kamtrul Rinpoche, and now he passed away in the 80s, and now across from us 10 minutes from here is the 9th Kamtrul Rinpoche, who is still her root lama. So what this is getting at in Mahamudra is just being aware. So leaving the scene in the scene means when you see something, don't add, you like it, you don't like it, it's good, it's bad, I want it, I don't want it. Just when you're seeing something, just see it. Same thing when you hear sound, just hear it. Don't add more stories to it. I like it, it's a good sound, it's a bad sound. Oh, that reminds me when I hear that song and I remember back in the 80s when, no, just be with that in that moment. Stop, cut off those affiliations. The conceptuality, try to free yourself of putting stories on top of other people's stories. Just listen to them and let their story just be their story. You don't have to feed back to it. Don't have to give advice. If they ask for advice, give advice, but just let them tell their story and you're just there listening. That's how you're living in the present moment, with awareness, with the nature of mind, simply leaving your experience as it is. Does that make sense? It's like just showing up fresh to every moment of your life. And it's not always easy because we have connections, we have affiliations, but it is possible to start to catch ourselves and start to free ourselves from those habits, to just let the mind be in the here and now, not drifting into the past with past memories and not fearfully projecting and worrying about the future. You know, Jetsuma has a nice expression. She said, she feels she's given her life to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and all of us can feel that way as lay people equally to the monastics. You've taken your refuge. You fully have trust in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Believe in your heart of hearts that they'll take care of everything, that you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to try to plan or control for anything, that it's all just going to work out perfectly because Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, they're your refuge. They've committed themselves to guiding and giving you protection all the way up to your enlightenment, which at that point you won't need refuge in the same way anymore. You'll be able to give refuge for others. And that might greatly reduce your anxieties, your worries, your fears, and just help you take the here and now, day by day. So I hope that that's something helpful and beneficial. Are there any questions about that little reading?
So I have a question around that because it's something that I am also struggling with, and it's kind of a combination of anxiety and also anger due to someone who did something to me and really kind of, I felt like, really destroyed my sense of trust and also really impacted where I am in my life right now and, you know, just everything. So,
Yes.
and I feel like there's like certain buttons, or I just feel like something may happen and it just triggers that sense of anxiety and anger. So, I mean, it's like, okay, bring it back to the breath, but there's times where I get caught where it just kind of, it's so raw, so strong that you just kind of get taken away with it. And then it's like later on, you're like, oh my gosh, like, how is it that I've been practicing, the Dharma's been lucky enough to come into my life and I've been practicing for so many years now. And wow, I almost feel like I'm worse than what, and yet, so at times I'm still struggling with that, especially these past few years. They've been very hard for me.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, okay, Carla, thank you for being so honest and sharing, Gatsel. And you bring up so many good points in this. So first of all, is you're very aware that your emotional reaction was very hurt and your trust was broken. And so this pattern of having to regain trust means that you're learning compassion deeply for yourself and for others, because others also do things based out of their patterns and their karma. And you're bringing up humility by saying, wow, I've been practicing the Dharma for so long and I still have this reaction. So this must be quite old imprints around having to really feel the humility of not being able to just say, oh, I want to just forgive or release this situation and move on with it. No, because when we have a deep emotional reaction, it means that's a pattern that is really not just from this lifetime. There's something else deeply there for you to see. And so there's humility in that, right? To say, okay, I'm not yet Chenrezig, the Bodhisattva of compassion, because I can't just let it slide off. So there's humility. And as Westerners, that's a huge practice we have to learn. Eastern people have different lessons around that because their culture tends to encourage more humility and more selflessness. So for the Western, often we need to learn more humility. So checking our own reaction helps us see that, okay, now I can practice humility. Yeah, I still have this really strong reaction that's coming. And who is that I that's reacting? Who is that ego identity that feels really harmed? Am I really harmed by that? Did it really break me? Did it really destroy me? No, not you, not your Buddha nature, but your ego doesn't like it. So it's pointing out to you very clearly where that ego wound is, right? So that's good, because you needed, in that sense, to see that's where you can release. That's where you can really show up and use Om Mani Padme Hum. Use the mantra of compassion first for yourself, and then Om Mani Padme Hum for the situation. Again, not really for the person that created the situation, because he or she was also acting based on their old habits for whatever reasons, but for the dynamic that really didn't benefit that person, didn't benefit you, didn't benefit in a lot of ways, right? So then Om Mani Padme Hum for the whole thing. And that's how we start to get those hooks that are hooking in, wanting the ego to still be fed. I mean, Jetsuma would say the ego's just as happy to be fed, whether it's a big happy ego getting fed or a miserable ego, you're still feeding the ego. So compassion is the natural healing effect to helping that ego feel safe, that ego releasing judgment of one's own reaction or of the actions of others, and just saying, look, we're not perfect beings, but now I'm going to be perfectly present to what my experience is. And I'm going to see, actually, with my wisdom, that in emptiness, it's all okay, that it's experience. It's really not going to damage. You're going to put that one in. Thank you. It's not going to harm me. It's really not going to harm the other person. And if we can actually let this habit that's not beneficial to anybody be finished, then how much better for everyone? You let go of that defensive ego that can't trust, that feels wounded, that feels harmed, maybe that feels resentful, that I that feels betrayed. You can let that go. And you can see that the action that the person took was not skillful, but it's not that person's nature. That person's nature is also Buddha nature. And he or she maybe this is the opportunity for them to learn more about that. The importance of building trusting communication, building trusting connection, building trusting dynamics. And so whether that person's following Buddha Dharma or not doesn't really matter, because your Buddha Dharma can then give you the opportunity to see that wisdom side of the emptiness, that things come and arise out of causes and conditions, and that you can pay a little bit more attention next time. Maybe you also have a little judgment, again, the ego, oh, I should have caught it. I should have seen that coming. I should have been more on it. The I. Well, who is that I? Right? So Om Mani Padme Hum. So when this comes up, then you can also say, okay, great. Now I have something to work with, like If we were Buddha, we wouldn't need a practice, but we have a practice. So when this trigger comes or this dynamic comes, you just go right into Om Mani Padme Hum. You can go right into Medicine Buddha, because that's one of your practices. You can say Om Tayata Gate Gate. You can do also mantra of Parjana Paramita, go beyond, go entirely beyond. You can say, Carla, come on, let it go. You know, like, why are you getting worked up? And you can laugh at it a little bit. Like, where is this one that's really this concerned? How is it really? That's using the wisdom, right? So the wisdom and compassion, that's going to help you bit by bit, and not judging, you know, letting go of that critical judge. How come it's not better already? That's also the ego, right? That's good to see you
Yeah.
smile.
It's deep seated too.
Yeah, for all of us, you
Yeah.
know, for all of us. But we can change, and that's the beauty of it. And that's the wonderful truth of the second noble truth, is that everything is impermanent. So if we couldn't change, there would be no point, but we can change. And that's what we're here to do in life after life, is continue to change and grow, to evolve. That's the absolute best benefit of being a human being, is that we can learn and we can grow. And in difficult times, especially, we can see the need for transformation. So this situation is actually helping you come closer to your Buddha nature. So instead of resentment, you can say, no, I'm not going to resent this. I'm going to actually take it on and move closer towards enlightenment. I'm not going to say you have to appreciate it, but you can see the wisdom of how to use it with gratitude. Or if you can't now, you will.
For me, the most important takeaway, Carla, is that you didn't say, oh, after all these years, my practice doesn't work, so I'm going to walk away from it. I mean, you just keep coming back to it. And it to me, it reminds me of sometimes my meditation. It's so filled with thoughts, and that it's just, how is this happening after all these years? But then you just let it go and come back to what you're trying to do. And you did that. You're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the beauty of having a practice. Imagine if you didn't even have a practice, you know, if we didn't even have the capacity to recognize what's going on for us in our mind stream. This is why in the West there is so much increase of suicide, increase of alcoholism, increase of drug use, because the poor beings, they have no practice and they're completely drowning in the ocean of samsara. And that's when in our own practice we can think, wow, in this moment, what would my life be like if I didn't have the Buddha Dharma? And then instead of worrying that we're not further along the path, we just rejoice, actually, we're on the path, and that is good enough. That is absolutely wonderful. Right?
Yes.
Well, I feel like I am seeing the benefit of maybe that feeling isn't lasting as long. You know, maybe it's for 2 days instead of for a week, you know.
Great. Well,
So
that's progress, darling. That means you're continuing up the path, and that's how it goes. That's
but
absolutely
it
as
does
it
feel
goes.
like kind of like a roller coaster at times, because I actually, there was an issue that happened over last weekend, and yeah, I'm still sad or upset that it happened, but I don't have that anger around it. While if it happened 8-10 months ago, I probably would still be fuming mad about it. So I see it working. I find that I also, maybe it's a perfectionist in me, I struggle sometimes of like, I want to be further along. How come I'm not there yet?
Well,
And
yeah, and again, that's
it's
that
a
humility
process.
and that patience, right? That
Right.
patience and that humility, and rejoicing that you can see that you've benefited and made gains, and also then understanding in the future that that week will be only a few days, and then the few days will only be one day, and that one day will only be a few hours, and then that few hours will be 1 hour, and then that 1 hour will just be, oh, I just see what happened just then, and it won't it won't come up anymore. Okay, but that's healing, and healing does take time. And that's a problem in the West, is we want instant gratification, and nothing in nature happens like that. All good things take time, and that is perennial wisdom. And in the wisdom of Buddha Dharma, if you can remember, it's all empty. And to try to bring that awareness of emptiness in, it's all just primordially play. It's not good or bad. It's arising, and your mind is judging, judging, judging. And to try to stop that judgment as soon as you can. And that's why use Om Mani Padme Hum as soon as you can. So speaking of Om Mani Padme Hum, we're going to do a little mantra practice now, because our time has been flying by. Do people have the capacity to go a few more minutes overtime? Are we, Janet and Doreen and Cole, are we able to? I can only see Carla right now, but Janet, maybe you can put the view of our, yeah, thank you. Are you okay if we go a little bit longer? Because I called in one of our expert mantra sisters here. Yeah, she doesn't want to come on the screen. She's going to just say hi a little bit. Come, please. This is my dear sister Sewang. She's from Bhutan, and we had our good sister from Bhutan who visited our center.
Oh.
Pema, you know, who's doing Deshama. I'll show you sometime. But Sewang, she's really a lovely practitioner. When did you become a nun? How old?
When I was 24 years old.
She became a nun when she was 24, and now she's
31.
31. So a nun for 7 years.
Yeah.
And from Bhutan, that's also, her family's very Buddhist. And so she was raised with a very wonderful tradition. And I asked her to come and help us with our Om Mani Padme Hum mantra. And we had a little explanation. I'll just go over it briefly. I sent out a little link. And for people who might watch this after when it's recorded, you can go on the website of Tashi Ling to get the benefits of Om Mani Padme Hum. This mantra, called the 6-syllable mantra, is one of the most powerful mantras in Buddhism because it's one of the oldest ones. The way Kensho Rinpoche taught it to me was that it works in every situation, and it's easy. As Carla said, even her children can say it because it's only 6 syllables. Sometimes we have 100-syllable mantra, the Vajrasattva mantra. Takes a long time to memorize. Om Mani Padme Hum comes right in handy. It's the mantra for compassion. I know Cole and I also like Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. That's Prajna Paramita's mantra for wisdom. That's also a wonderful one to use. But for every situation, Om Mani Padme Hum just rolls right off the tip of the tongue, and it comes right here from your heart. So I was talking the last time about Nune practice that we did, this very important fasting practice for a week that all of us nuns did here at the nunnery. And that's a Chenrezig practice. That's an Om Mani Padme Hum practice. And so what we want to use our mantra for, firstly, is for protection. Mantra means mind protection. So as soon as our emotion or our mind starts to go under anger, anxiety, frustration, fear, whatever it is, we can go right to Om Mani Padme Hum. We should go right to Om Mani Padme Hum as the very first one. It's the most powerful mantra. Now, when you do that, if you don't have a visual image of the Buddha of compassion, you see His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Just imagine he's right there sitting on the crown of your head or gazing at you or in your heart. Feel completely protected because nothing can come against Om Mani Padme Hum because it's giving compassion to everything. It's saying, look, I'm not going to harm anything. Nothing's going to harm me. And this compassionate vibration is going out everywhere, and it immediately cools your mind and brings you into a peace of mind. So make this your main practice of your mantra right now. It would be good if you could say at least a mala worth of Om Mani Padme Hum every day. If you could start your day off with Om Mani Padme Hum, and before you go to sleep, if you could do 1 mala Om Mani Padme Hum, would be wonderful. So that you have the blessings during the day of Om Mani Padme Hum. You have the mindset of compassion for everything that's going to arise during the day. You're going to just let it come to you with a mind of compassion. And that's going to make your day much more pleasant. Even if you get a little irritation, because Om Mani Padme Hum is there, you're going to be able to laugh at some point and catch yourself. Like I said yesterday in the library, when I had that little speed bump, I just went right to my sister and I said, okay, sister, I had a great lesson just right now, and said, Om Mani Padme Hum. She said, no, don't do it, Gatsel, because I'm older. She actually thinks that I'm a very long ordained nun. And then I told her, no, actually, you're my senior, even though she's 21. So I thought you were a nun like Jetsuma for your whole life. I said, maybe in another life, but in this life, just celebrated 4 years. So then we shared, we had a good sharing. And because Om Mani Padme Hum was there, it made it very soft and very gentle. So we're going to right now take our mala. If you have your mala with you, take your mala. And we're going to just say one mala worth. Oh yeah, show.
Okay.
See this beautiful one that Sewang has. This beautiful crystal mala. I'm actually going to get my crystal mala also, the Chenrezig one. The one that I use for the Nunes.
Oh,
Someone gifted this one to me. It's not really as crystally as yours, but. So somebody gifted me this nice one. And
it's nice.
yeah, and this is the one I use also for the Nunes. It's very heavy, so I don't tend to wear it, but for doing mantra, it's very nice. So to do our mantra, we should hold in our left hand our mala. And very comfortably just let it sit maybe like this. And then you can just pull it with your thumb, and you can use your forefinger or your middle finger. And you can turn the bead a little bit with your thumb, turn it clockwise as you pull it down. If that's too complicated, don't worry about it. I'm teaching you the official, okay, like the monastic way that was taught. If you want to just pull the bead, just pull the bead. It's fine. Still the Buddha of compassion, Chenrezig, he's there. He's rejoicing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come here, say one. Come with yours. Glorious self. No, please, you come. Because we're recording and I like the people to get a blessing to see you. Yeah. There. Okay. So we're going to hold the mala at our heart center, our heart chakra. And we're going to start off by saying Om Mani Padme Hum. And then after, when it feels right to you, just go down. We say you should still speak the mantra into your collar, we say. So you see the collar in the temple, we would say it out loud and then go into Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum. So there's still something audible, but we'll start a little bit louder. These days I feel like I'm speaking, I must get my ears checked, I think. I feel like maybe I'm speaking really loudly. Okay, so we'll begin now. Now just bring to mind right now your root teacher, your root Lama, or bring to mind His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or Kamtro Rinpoche, or Jetsumala. Bring to mind Chenrezig, the Bodhisattva of compassion. Maybe the simple form with just 4 arms. The 2 arms are at the heart center holding a wish-fulfilling jewel. And the other 2 arms are out at the side. His right arm is holding in his hand a mala, a crystal mala bead, like in the figure 8, and he's releasing suffering beings from samsara through his great compassion. And his left hand is holding the stem of a lotus flower. And on top of the lotus flower is just the essence and the beautiful scent of renunciation of there's no samsara, that everyone's being placed in nirvana, freedom from suffering. He's got a beautiful white face with a smile, gazing open eyes lovingly at the world. Over his left shoulder is an antelope skin. It's kind of a pink color. The antelope is an animal that gives itself selflessly for the benefit of all beings. It offers itself freely. He's got beautiful white scarves and pink scarves draped down, standing on a lotus and a moon cushion. So lotus is renunciation of suffering, of samsara. The moon cushion is the wisdom of emptiness that sees the true pure nature just as it is. And his whole essence is full of loving kindness and compassion for every living thing that is. Feel him gazing at you, beaming light through the top of your head, touching down into your heart center, filling your whole body with his loving kindness and his light. He's rejoicing so much that you're coming to say the mantra, calling upon his blessings, his wisdom, and his compassions. And he's encircled in a rainbow light. Everything's made completely and entirely of light. So now we'll begin. Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme mani padme hum, 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 mani padme Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, 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 Om mani padme hum, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, 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 mani padme hum. Om mani padme hum, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, mani padme hum. And when you finish your mala, just rest in the presence of Chenrezig, feeling the blessings flowing through your entire body, speech, and mind, full of glowing and pure compassion, white light, removing any old habits, any habits that don't bring true happiness, peace of mind. Feel them lifted right out of your body, speech, and mind, and completely purified and clarified through Chenrezig's blessings. Have complete confidence and deep trust and faith that Chenrezig has the power to heal your mind stream, to remove these obstacles, and to establish you in your true essence of your Buddha nature, of your pure primordial wisdom that is completely loving and kind, completely compassionate, awake, full of sorrowless bliss, with equanimity, non-judgment, freedom. And just breathe that in and soak that in. Radiate it to your deepest part of your mind stream. Now remember, Chenrezig at his heart is holding a wish-fulfilling jewel. That wish-fulfilling jewel is bodhicitta. It's the mind of awakening, the mind that cherishes others more than oneself. And that jewel is the most precious jewel, better than having riches, man-made or earthly riches of silver and gold, or anything that we could create on this planet. It's much, much more potent and rich and powerful in its blessings. And now see that Chenrezig is handing you your own wish-fulfilling jewel, and feel that you're holding it at your heart center, that you have your own wish-fulfilling jewel of bodhicitta, and that it's within the power of your own hands, guiding you and blessing your mind stream, your true Buddha nature. Isn't that wonderful? It's right there in the power of your own two hands and the true essence of the nature of your mind, a compassionate and awake, loving and kind mind that's aware and capable of transforming all the way up to enlightenment. So just take a moment to rejoice in your own practice, in your own virtue, in your own dedication, motivation, and intention to transform your mind into its highest potential, all the way up to Buddha nature. Now, how wonderful that is, isn't it? That's all we need to do, a little bit of that every day, and we're going all the way up to enlightenment because others have done it, and we can have every confidence that we can do it too. So step by step, just keep practicing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our
Thank you so
pleasure.
much, Mela.
Our pleasure. Yes. Sewang come. We'll just say a dedication now. So we'll say our dedication on page 25. We'll say in Tibetan for His Holiness. Gangri wa we korwe shinkam dear pendang dewa malu changwene chenrezi wan tenzin gatsoi shapezi te bardu ten gyorchik. It's not really in Tibetan, it's in the transliteration. In English, that is, in that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezi remain in life till samsara's end. In a long life prayer for Khenzo Rinpoche Lobsang Seten, our Sawe Lama. In particular, we pray for the one who knows all the scriptures with the power of his intelligence to have a long life through the solid strength of his mind and his mastery of life in order to benefit the teachings and all beings with his good wholehearted resolve. I also add this in for Jetsuma Tenzin Palmo. May the Holy Lady Jetsuma Tenzin Palmo's life be long and stable. May all her holy Dharma wishes quickly manifest for her own benefit, the benefit of the Dharma, and the benefit of all mother beings. Through this virtue, may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha's state, place each and every sentient being, without exception, in that state. Precious Supreme Bodhi Mind, may it where and born arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Jangchup Semcho Rinpoche, Ma Ke Panam Ke Gyorchi, Ke Par Nyam Par Me Par Yang, Go Ne Gong Du Pel War Shok. Mig Me Se We Ter Chen Chen Rezi, Di Me Kien Pe Wang Po Jam Pel Yang, Gong Chen Ke Pe Su Gien Sun Kappa, Lo Zang Drag Pe Shahabla So Wada. May we all attain Buddhahood for the benefit of every sentient being. So thank you, everybody, for this practice together today in this Maine moment, this Mother India evening. And thank you to our special guest, Sewang Chodron La, for coming and joining us. And if you want to unmute and add anything, this would be a good moment before you head off into your day. Otherwise, we'll just say, see you next time.
See you next time.
See you when I'm looking at you, as Cole likes. Jetsima liked that one, Cole. I told her that when she said yes, exactly. Okay, and thank you to Janet for hosting and for recording this session and putting together the materials. So have a great day and see you soon.
Okay,
Happy
thank
spring, everyone. Happy spring.
you. Same to
Happy
you.
spring.
Thank you. Really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Our pleasure.